Hi everyone, it's meteorologist Joe Cioffi on this Friday. I made a few changes on the snowfall forecast maps after looking at everything from yesterday and last night, and everything seems to be moving along the way I've been seeing over the last few days. And again, I want to point out one of the keys here is the fact that there's going to be a wave that's going to develop on the warm front. And when we look at the number of the short range models today, we actually, we really do see this happening. And what that's going to do, in my view, is that it'll wind up pinching the cold air a little bit longer. And in the case of a warm front, you really only need an extra hour or two in order to change the outcome from a few inches to several inches to somebody getting 6. And I think what happens is that you get the warm frontal wave that's going to develop, and it's right in there, okay? And that basically just keeps things a little colder, especially in the areas in the mountains and valleys in Pennsylvania down into north central Maryland, where I think there could be several hours of freezing rain to deal with on top of whatever snow falls. And the snow may wind up only being a few inches. I kind of toned it down a little bit for that area, but I also did kind of raise it up for the areas up into northeastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Long Island, and Connecticut, because that extra hour in this region is more important. And for the area down to the south, it's going to be maybe a couple of hours of freezing rain on top of whatever snow that falls. So let me just roll this along so you can see what happens. Now, we're at 11 o'clock in the morning now, and of course, by then, things have warmed up. The other thing that I believe is going to happen is that once this low, and you can actually see the wave on the NAM model now, it's off the coast east of Boston by late tomorrow afternoon. So that is a real feature that's going to happen, even though the main low is still way to the west. Will eventually warm up into the 40s and even into the 50s by Sunday morning before the cold front comes through, and you can see it here coming through in the afternoon, and then we get some rain after that. And I'm not buying really the idea of a change over to snow at the end. It's not going to be of consequence. Let me show you the RGEM model, because this model does work very well in the short range. I don't know why it does as well as it does, but it does have a tendency to do pretty well. And I want you to look at the fact that that warm frontal wave is very, very evident here. This is for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, and it's at that point, it is only then it starts to change to rain on Long Island, and it would have already changed to freezing rain through all of this region here, through south central PA and into Maryland and into southwestern New Jersey. But much of northern New Jersey on the RGEM at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning is still snow. And there's the frontal wave right here. It's, you can draw a low in that closed isoball right off the central New Jersey coast, and this is this is the problem in terms of the forecast, because it just pinches in a little more cold air for an extra hour or two, and it keeps the low levels cold down into areas to the south in southern Pennsylvania, back into Maryland, and even into Virginia. The RGEM is still showing some freezing precipitation up to the, even in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore, and throughout northernmost Delaware. So, this is what we're looking at here with regards to this setup. And then after that, precipitation just ends, and then again, you get that cold front to approach, and that moves in Sunday afternoon with some rain. Now, let me show you what I did for forecast amounts, as I kind of adjusted them a little bit. So for south central Pennsylvania, south of Chambersburg, Lancaster, down into northern Maryland, I'm thinking an inch or two now with a changeover to freezing rain. And then you go north of that line, and we're talking 2 to 3 inches. And that 2 to 3 inch line now extends across to Philadelphia, Trenton, on up through central New Jersey, western Monmouth County, north and west, to New York City and northeastern New Jersey, and onward into southwestern Connecticut, over toward Hartford. I went for 2 to 3 inches with some isolated 4-inch amounts there. Go north and west of that, and you start to get into the 3 to 5. You start to move up north of 84, and in northwest New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, Much of the middle and upper Hudson Valley, I went 5 to 7 inches also for northwestern Connecticut. Now, Long Island is a bit tricky. So, warm fronts on Long Island do weird things. Sometimes you wind up with what looks like what you should get, which is lower amounts. And then sometimes the way the warm front's set up, the cold air winds up getting pinched even for Long Island. And then you have weird stuff that happens aloft that somebody gets a surprise. You wind up with more snow here and off sometimes than you do north and west. But I'm going to go for what should happen, and that is a coating to 1 inch over the east end, 1 to 2 inches for Suffolk County. Let's say east of the William Floyd Parkway. I expanded the area of northwestern Suffolk County to put them into 2 to 3 inches with maybe some isolated 4-inch amounts. And for the New Jersey shore, looking at a coating to 1 inch before changing over the rain, and that's mainly east of the Parkway, the Garden State Parkway. West of the Garden State Parkway, you start to get into the 1 to 2 inches. So, look, at this point, it's a done deal. Let me just really quick, I'll widen out just so everybody gets a chance to look at their area. Kind of a busy day today, so I'm going to be videoless on YouTube after this one for a little while anyhow. But I just want to show you so you can get the flavor of this. First on the RGEM model, the high goes out. One of the other things too is that the wind is not going to be southeast here. It's going to be more light south or even southwest, and that's not a wind that warms things up quickly around the New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania area. So that's another reason why we seem to be able to bite off a little bit more frozen and freezing precipitation. And you can see throughout much of the Midwest, you get that shot of snow for the Great Lakes, and then the low, and then it just basically the warm advection part moves out, and then you get a little bit more on the backside when the wave goes up into the St. Lawrence Valley. And we'll quickly look at the long range. I'll switch over to the GFS from last night. Because honestly, I think after this, things may just calm down for a little while. It does get a little cold early next week, but no big deal. Late next week, the European and the GFS do try to have something here for Friday, and it might be cold enough or it might not be. We'll see. It doesn't look like anything, big. And then after that, going into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, kind of on the mild side, but nothing crazy warm in my view. And beyond that, as we go toward the end of the month, it looks like that pattern transition continues. We'll see what the models start to do for later today. When we get into these short-range dilemmas with the forecast, I tend to not really pay too much attention to what's going on down the road. So, to me, it's like I got enough to do looking at the next 24 hours, then think about the next 24 days. Latest forecasts are on the app for local areas: New York, New Jersey, Long Island, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Hudson Valley. So download my app. You can subscribe to my local forecast for just 99 cents a month. Latest stuff on the website, meteorologistjoecioffi.com, weatherlongisland.com, nycweathernow.com, and also for South Central Pennsylvania and North Central Maryland, sstormchasers.com.